As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
Son of a bitch. He stole my life.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Welcome back to the Shot by Shot podcast, where today we're talking a film that we've all recently discovered this week and we just really wanted to talk about it, and that's Paul Verhoeven's misunderstood 1995 film, Showgirls, which he's a director that I've been watching a lot over the past week, realising how brilliant a director he was in the 80s and 90s, and still probably is. I haven't seen any of his newer work, but he's really a director who was in the last kind of like half of the 80s and the early 90s created so many great blockbusters that I've been catching up on in the last week. His work in Hollywood really reminded me of people like James Cameron, who are like, they have like such an eye for creating films that have mass appeal, but they still have like this really great artistry behind it that you can respect and enjoy. Top of them just being like really fun blockbuster times. More recently as well, I think like Bong Joon-ho's kind of similar path of his career as well. Verhoeven obviously started in the Netherlands and eventually made over into making Hollywood films, and similarly kind of used the big, large budget science fiction movies to kind of satirize and largely make fun of American culture, which Verhoeven does in a lot of his films, and in the movie we're going to talk about today. But he mainly stayed in the US for that decade, and made a lot of great films in those times, including the film Showgirls, which I think is his best film, that at least that I've seen so far. But we're going to talk about that. But first, what do you kind of feel about like just Verhoeven in general before we go into Showgirls?
It's actually crazy that how misunderstood he is, but I think that almost gives his whole filmography such a purpose and a meaning when kind of discussing satire in a way, because I feel like I'm quite critical on satire in general. It can be quite degrading, but for him, it's equally sad and hilarious how many people it just kind of goes straight over their heads. Starship Troopers, a big example of for him, and even RoboCop and things like that, Total Recall. But this was kind of one of the biggest ones, and it obviously kind of tackles Las Vegas Showgirls, which some people are going to have some preconceived judgments on anyway when kind of going into that within a film. Obviously, this film has a lot of nudity, and it's very calm about it. It's not kind of dramatic about it. It's just it's part of what they do. It's part of their jobs, and this is such a unique and ludicrous depiction of the American dream. And Verhoeven just takes pride across his whole filmography in really dismantling America's ideals as a whole. Obviously, Starship Troopers and RoboCop, notoriously anti-fascist films that somehow people completely missed. And it's kind of crazy that those kind of films existed in kind of the studio realm in the first place, because like in a way the studios wasn't smart enough to even recognize what he was going for with those films. And it's brilliant. But for me, it's between this and Starship Troopers as his best films. Benedetta, his most recent work, I think, is his most recent work from this decade. It's it's very Verhoeven in a sense that it's pretty damn sexual, and it coming is kind of this medieval like kind of lesbian religious story, and it has its moments definitely, but I think it becomes a bit too self-indulgent for Verhoeven's standards. But yeah, it's an interesting film. But yeah, this one is quite timeless and quite funny, the reactions that it still gets from people.
Yeah, this is a weird film. I think for some reason people miss that it's like tongue-in-cheek, even though he's done free sci-fi thrillers that are quite clearly taking the piss out of America and corporate America. Maybe it's because they're in like a fantastical setting, it's more obvious to people, but this is so blatantly, like the dialogue is so blatantly sleazy and on the nose. I've seen like Reddit threads where people are saying, look how terrible this dialogue is, especially when they're having dinner together outside in that one scene, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to take you down." I don't know. It didn't distract me in any way. I just found it all part of that Vegas sleazy charm. I mean, I've only seen his sci-fi films. I've seen RoboCop, Starship, and last night Total Recall. So this is a big departure from what I'm used to. But he's also, like Oscar said, looking at his filmography, he's done like a World War II film. He's done a, it looks like a horror film. He's done really other sexual romance films. And from looking at the average ratings, they've all got good average ratings. So he's clearly like an everyman director, which takes a lot of talent. I think the dissenters of this film are like a loud minority in a weird way, because even though it has a reputation, I do think most people enjoy it. It's just the people who don't enjoy it, like, really let themselves be known. But everyone I've spoke to online and in real life have enjoyed it. So it is a strange film in that regard.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's turned into more of a cult classic. One of the weirdest examples of a film just being rejected, like critically and like by audiences at the time, though, it's a film that I had no idea about the reputation behind this film going in, so I kind of was going in blank. Like I had no preconceived notion that I was gonna like something that like, people were hating or something like that. I generally just thought this was another Verhoeven movie that everybody loved, and I thought it was great, and so I was quite surprised looking at. I think it's like a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes or 20% on both the critics and the audiences. It's pretty crazy. Like just it's hated everywhere. Verhoeven had like come off like this incredible run of. I think he made a lot of waves in the Netherlands with his movies, and then cemented himself really as one of the great blockbuster directors in Hollywood with that run of like RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct. Just before this, all really applauded as like iconic films in Hollywood. I think at this point, not just cult classics like this is. He built a lot of careers with those films, like he building on Arnold Schwarzenegger's films, like or his legacy with Total Recall. I think he created Sharon Stone pretty much with Basic Instinct. Like that's what I knew her from. That's she's iconic for that role in the movie. Um, Very sexual like this, like most of his films. I mean, she's lightly known for the leg spread in that film. Um, so yeah, he got a massive 45 million budget to create this like rags to riches story centered around Las Vegas, which is like it's half of what he got for Starship Troopers, his next film, but like it's still like it's 100 million in today's money, which is a huge budget, especially for a film as raunchy as this. Like I don't think any in any way there'd be like any studio willing to let someone make an NC-17 movie and have it widely distributed. Weird for the time. I don't think it could happen now either. And it only grossed 20 million, but it also ended up making 100 million back in video rentals. When that market was still available for these kind of films, they've kind of become the cult classics and make their money back. But yeah, coming off huge successes, and then it's just such a weird phenomenon for someone to be on such a great run. It's the same crew as Basic Instinct, like same writer, same cinematographer, all the same crew working on it. It's itself a hugely sexual film, like the majority of his work, like we're saying, but like that was largely praised. They got 2 Academy Awards for editing and score. Do you know that this went to win 7 Golden Raspberry Awards? Um,
Yeah,
What, the Razzies?
yeah, it swooped the Razzies with Best Picture, Worst Director, Worst Writer. Elizabeth Berkley won Worst Actress. It's really baffling stuff.
This kind of grounded her career, didn't it? It kind of
it
It ruined
ruined
her
it.
career
put it to a
completely. She
halt.
was dropped
It
by
did.
her agent.
Great. So yeah,
She was kind of blamed for the movie. She's pretty much done
That's
nothing since.
ridiculous.
and she only got 100K for it.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
And Kyle MacLachlan hated it apparently. He like
Yeah,
right.
complained.
he
That's
did.
all it was.
Yeah, when he saw the first cut, that was crazy. Come rocking the most emo look you've ever seen. The entire film. I had no idea who was in this going into it as well. I think it's so important to take into account because you kind of get those casual general movie watchers who don't really take into account context and things like that and outside things. And I think Verhoeven is so important that we're coming from his background. Um, he kind of grew up in, obviously he's Dutch, grew up during World War II in near German headquarters, and they were near a military bases where he grew up during World War II with rocket launchers and things like that, and it was repeatedly bombed and bombed and bombed. And he kind of recalls seeing so many dead bodies and burning houses on the street. So he's kind of grown up in this kind of war zone, surrounded by fascists, and his whole um, kind of set of ideals is built around this. And I think it's so brilliant that he has expressed his kind of childhood through this way, and it's a lot of extreme violence and extreme sexuality in his films. And I think some people just don't really understand that, and yeah, it's quite crazy.
I think even now when we see like when people watch something that almost takes them out of their comfort zone or they don't really understand
Mm,
it fully, they kind of lean to like the basics of well, the acting and the dialogue is an easy thing to attack in any film because I
yeah.
feel like, especially in a case like this, where like I think from a technical point, this is pretty much like a masterpiece. I wouldn't critique anything about the technical sides of it. I think the performances are amazing, but I think just people generally assign blame to performances because yeah, it's easy to, and I really feel bad for the hate that Elizabeth got because I think she's amazing in this. I really
Mm.
didn't notice anything about her performance that was like noteworthy of being bad until I went out or I kind of researched to discover even what people disliked about this, and that was like the main thing that kept coming up. It's really crazy.
Mm. Yeah, and I think there's such a with kind of general film watchers, there's such a disregard for these kind of ideals and these kind of positions that kind of jobs that these people are in, and they're kind of more sexual means in a way. You know, people will kind of cast aside this kind of extreme. Well, more explicit nature is just something over the top and unnecessary. When in actual fact, it's a perfect um, plays a perfect part into kind of this over the top absurdity that Verhoeven's going for, and that's not just with Verhoeven's films. That's with any film in general, really. People just kind of disregard, oh, well, like, why are you watching this and things like that. And this is exactly one of those films. Um, and even to this day, it's not just now that it's not just then that people kind of disregard his work and many other works. It's still happening today. You know, you see some idiots on Twitter, Starship Troopers, like, oh, how are people siding with the bugs? Like, what are you doing? And you're literally falling for the exact reason that film exists, for the Starship Troopers, and it's a perfect film about how easily people fall for fascist regimes, and that's exactly what they're falling for. And a brilliant film, and I love, especially with Showgirls, I love the circular nature of the whole narrative, and it's wonderful, and we we really end up in the same place that we started, and that's what I
Hmm.
love about it.
It reminded me a bit of all that jazz, like visually,
Mm.
which is a big praise to give
True.
him
Yeah.
because that's a really good looking film. I think he's underrated in the visual category because I watched Total Recall last night, and that is
Wow.
the practical effects in that are like insane, and the sets.
The
I think
miniatures.
I read a review saying it looks like a cyberpunk live action, and it does. Like some of the sets look insane.
The Mars shots are so stunning. I think that maybe his best compositional work, honestly, Total Recall. There are some stunning, well, across his whole filmography in general, his composition is incredible, but there's some incredibly blocked shots in Total Recall.
Yeah, not to slander Arnie because he's like in loads of good films, but I was not expecting like that level of like filmmaking in like an Arnie catchphrase like simulator film. It's like amazing looking.
The funniest scene in the last act where he's like, um,
Don't spoil it because I
he,
haven't
he-
seen it.
oh, have you
Oh
not seen it?
no,
Oh, I
No,
no,
won't
I'm
say
seeing it in
anything. I
theaters
won't
in
say anything.
like 2 weeks.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I won't say.
so
I
I'm
didn't realize you
saving
hadn't
it.
seen it. Oh, it's so cool. It's so funny. It's so funny as well.
yeah, we
Yeah,
could have
I
been
find it.
robbed of some good actresses though, because I've seen the list of who applied for
Yeah,
the role
no,
of Elizabeth Berkley. Like, we could have had no Charlize Theron. No, well, that's the big one. There's also like Angelina Jolie and Pamela Anderson, who are like household
Wow.
names. So
Speaking of Pamela Anderson, obviously The Last Showgirl, sorry to interrupt, is a film that came out recently. I still need to see that. I am quite interested in it. Obviously, kind of a spiritual successor to Showgirls in a way. But yeah, I've heard mixed things about that one.
I don't know anything about it, to be honest. Could have been.
Yeah, I think
big
anybody
one.
would have flopped, like their career wise, if they'd got this
Yeah.
role.
I think a lot of the hate wasn't even for acting. It's just like mid-90s America was like insanely Christian, um, in the way like media was looked at. I think not to slander Christianity, but
Mhm.
that was the like thing at the time. And I think I think just an actress being that nude for that long. I think nowadays they'd be hate, but it was from like a minority, whereas back then there was enough people
Mm,
in the audience,
Yeah.
especially like parents or teenagers, where it, it probably led to the film flopping completely. But luckily, it got cult status, and I think it's in the like top 20 for MGM best-selling films just because of
Yeah, it's the
home
most
release.
successful NC-17 movie of all time, I think. Like
Yeah,
really?
theatrically as well. Yeah, because they don't
Wow.
get released theatrically. I think it's one of the few that's ever been released like wide.
Wow. I had
Um,
no idea. That's crazy.
yeah, what do you think how it would be received now? Because I mean, I don't see any studio ever allowing a director control like this to make quite an NC-17 film, but we've obviously seen a few films recently that are really sexual. But I don't know if we're in such a great climate for highly sexualized films still.
It's kind of unfortunate in a way that that's where we are, and it's not just the sexualization, but it's the satirical nature as well, and kind of what it's pinpointing that like um, studios are so restrictive of that kind of thing. You know, I have no idea how Paul Thomas Anderson got 120 million. I said it before to make another Pynchon adaptation that is taking the piss out of America, and obviously it's a adaptation of a novel set in the 60s. Oh, no, I don't know when it's set, but it's a contemporary adaptation. And obviously, Warner Brothers and Paul Thomas Anderson are fighting over final cut, it seems, which is really disappointing to see. Um, Warner Brothers are the worst. But the fact that some of these films exist is just great in their own right. And we are, I think we're still seeing more on an international level. These films are existing. Um, but as for kind of Hollywood, in a sense, they are getting slowly more and more shunned out. And it sucks that such talented filmmakers are like not even asking a lot to make the films that they want to. And in this kind of stance in a way, yeah, they're struggling. But obviously, we've seen films recently that are kind of still pioneering this kind of overtly erotic style, and not just for the sake of being naked.
Mhm.
I think if it came out today, they'd lean into the marketing of it being quite edgy. It depends on the studio. I can see like a Neon or an A24 if it's the exact same film like marketed today, they'd probably lean
Mm,
into the edginess. I think older people would have a be in the bonnet about it. I think younger people
mm,
wouldn't care too much. It definitely wouldn't bomb. I don't think as much. But Verhoeven is like a director who couldn't operate in the current studio system. Um,
mm.
he'd need too much control, and his most recent film I've never heard of. To be fair, is a French film, but it definitely seems to be like a guy who's not looking to make a grand return to studio filmmaking, and
Is
you won't.
Benedetta his most recent film?
That's what
It
I'm
is, yeah.
assuming. If it isn't, it just proves my
I'm
point even
pretty
more.
sure it is.
I might check it out. I might go through his filmography now, but yeah,
Mm.
he's definitely not a guy who's gonna make a grand return. I don't think. And films like
He's
Turbo
working in
Boomerang,
France, is it?
I think France at the minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We won't get
Yeah,
another
it's
like film
amazing
like that.
how he worked in Hollywood for 10 years, but he never really had that film where he had to compromise. He always kind of had his artistic vision
Mm.
and control of it. Um, I think obviously we've got a lot of sexual stuff recently, like that's been praised, like Poor Things and Anora have both gotten a lot of Oscars, despite. Um, I don't think any of them go quite as far as Showgirls, obviously. But
Yeah, Nora for a
there's some amazing
film
praise there.
about sex workers is very tame. I'd say you get like some nudity in the
Yeah,
beginning, and
Showgirls has like full frontal like
yeah,
nudity, which
Mm.
I've not even really seen in any Hollywood film that I can
Mm.
think of. A big thing that I was thinking about is that in a lot of these cases now, the kind of like discussion around the film, like it kind of becomes bigger than the actual film itself. Like everybody just goes into going into the film like expecting it to be this like mess that everybody hypes up to be. Um, and I think that happens a lot now, where a director gets the vein to do whatever they want with a big budget to do these type of films that aren't necessarily the type of film that you get that big Hollywood big budget treatment for. And it ultimately results in it being a little bit, or and it ends up being messy. There's always this like preconceived judgment before the film even comes out, and that's happening a lot recently. Like we've seen stuff like Babylon, like Beau's Afraid, Mickey 17 even a bit recently. And then what Oscar was saying is I think it's already happening with PTA's new film, um, where people were already talking about it has to reach this number and this number to even break even, and we're just kind of going away from the fact of what the actual film is, and we just talk about the big budget and the kind of business side of it, which I don't really
Cinema's just
like.
numbers now.
Yeah.
It's all it's becoming. It's sad. It's really, really sad. Yeah, the people you get those like Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter. This is the scum of the film journalist world, basically. Um, as we've learned more so over the past couple of weeks, they're like we're already out. It's like you need like 300 million to break even. Like they're worried about this. Like please just shut up. Nobody gives a damn. The only thing that I care about is this movie exists, and that's only what
Mm.
those filmmakers care about. They don't care about the money. Well, if they do, then that's really really sad. But yeah, and I that thing that I sent to you guys today about the Minecraft, the like, why is it doing so well? Oh yeah, because it has great storytelling. I'm like, and people are driven by that. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking about people are going to see the Minecraft movie because of its good storytelling, and that's what people need. And it's not because it's one of the most probably the most popular gaming IP ever, and the childhood of children at the moment, and like all our generation now, and it's quite hilarious to be honest. Um, but yeah, the American like this kind of breakdown of the American dream is obviously it's not a new thing, and it I feel like for me, films that take on the American dream have this inherent like misery porn quality to it. Like the characters are, like down in their dumps and they're like trying to find hope, but like sometimes they never do. And I feel like there's a lot of great films that have avoided that or moved beyond that. But I really like what this film does with its kind of characters. It more works as like an internal power play between these kind of dreamers and so many aspirees in this film. And there's so many characters and half the time you just see characters yelling at each other when they're getting ready. You know, some of them will just have their kids there while they're working, and it's just little sequences like that. And I think it's such a it creates such this chaotic atmosphere with the amount of characters we got going on and the different lives of all these different people who are all trying to get to the same point. A lot of kind of bits on control and just rugs being pulled from underneath your feet at a moment's notice. And then whenever you think you've got there, the kind of system just keeps on churning you in and out. And yeah, I think Verhoeven does such a good job at creating a new look on such a rehashed idea. And to put it in Vegas, yeah, it's brilliant because it manages to um, see Vegas as a whole, but as the country at the same time. And yeah, it is one of the ultimate Vegas films without a doubt.
yeah. Vegas is definitely like a character in this. I'd say it's maybe the most character I've seen. I think Casino does it well as well, but this one feels more grounded in that even in Vegas now, there's probably people being exploited like this. It strays away from the misery porn aspect because, like you said, it's more about the institutional issues. Obviously, you see the issues Naomi goes through, but eventually the cyclical nature of the film, she gets out, and it's that idea that once you're at breaking point, you'll leave. Someone will take your place, fall for this dream that the character began the film on, and then the cycle will continue. You see it with films like Requiem for a Dream is like the hunt for stardom, and that sways more into misery porn. I'd say the one character arc, the lady who wants to be on TV, is like desperate for attention, and that definitely strays towards misery porn. So I'm glad this is different in that regard, because that is the more common approach, is to be as miserable as possible, and I do like films like that. But in a weird way, Showgirls felt more hopeful for the main character that she does eventually leave. But yeah, I was never depressed by it. I think the writing and the way the characters interact with each other, and they keep bringing up monkeys for like no reason in the backstage.
There's actual
there's some
monkeys.
things to laugh at. Yeah, real monkeys,
Mm.
which the actors were terrified of apparently.
Yeah. One thing, the show that they have going on around the whole thing is that one show, because what I loved is like we never see we see the whole show, but it like whenever the show happens, it's always at different points. So we're never like repeating the same point of the show really. So like we start at like one section, it's like that golden opening with all the like volcano backgrounds, then we're on something different. The next show they're on is on a different segment of the show, and then so on and so forth as they get towards the end of the show. And that
Hmm.
really, really worked well for me. And all the kind of outfit changes and everything that happens in between those. And again, it manages to tackle so many different characters, and you kind of have so many different side plots of dreams and aspirations between the, and they're all kind of converging in between each other. And then as everything kind of hits a dead end, as we get to the end of it, there's that, I've forgotten the guy's name, but those the two lead girls, and then she meets that guy that she's always wanted to meet, and it ends in a really sad and horrific way for
A really
her, and
brutal scene to watch.
a
It's
really visceral
that's
scene.
the one time I'm like, I was thinking that must have been what turned a lot of people off, but
Yeah,
Mm,
I'm not even sure if that was.
yeah, I know it kind of hits you like a truck out of nowhere, and yeah, it's just, yeah, and it's sad that no matter how far they keep on thinking they're going up, and they're really not really going anywhere at the same time. And yeah, it is kind of so hopeful, and then in a moment's notice it will just drag you right down again. And it's not done in kind of this really repetitive way, even though the kind of whole idea of the film is that it does just keep going around in circles um, for these ladies. And yeah, and I'm happy that he avoided this kind of really cheap misery porn quality to it, because it's so easy just to force this kind of idea of emotion onto audiences, and this completely avoids it.
Well, yeah, it really captures Vegas so well. That's Vegas. That's the like knocks you, brings you up to the top and then knocks you down. And it's like the trap of like the house always wins. Um, and like you're saying, like it's really not new to do like the American dream that like falls apart, or really the darkness behind like entertainment. I think somebody like Lynch would have loved to do like a Vegas film on his own, and I think that's why he goes to Vegas in The Return, because it really is just like it's like the one place that he hadn't explored that is really so perfect for those kind of themes. Um, and it's really such like a classic Hollywood structure as well, which is why I don't understand that this isn't just like a classic like respected film. Like I just didn't understand that people hated this, because it's using so many like not tropes but structures that have been used so well in the past, and it's kind of bringing them into like a more modern state, because he can be more sexual and he does in the 90s, where it's like he has all these like great set pieces of the dances that are like such known to like Hollywood films like the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, but they don't have like this like he's code holding them back, where they can just like he can make it Verhoeven and just go further than anyone else has done. So I think that really makes the film stand out compared to some other films that have done something similar. Verhoeven kind of cited, I think, All About Eve as a big influence on the film, which won Best Picture in 1950, which has a really similar relationship between the two women leads, like with that like Betty Davies playing the Crystal role, as the kind of like experienced aging movie star, and then Annie Baxter comes in as the Naomi role of like the up and coming actress. Um, Again, just kind of using the structure that we've already seen like used so well before. I also noticed a lot of similarities with Mildred Pierce, which I just watched. It's a film by Michael Curtis, which directed Casablanca. That film also deals with like the kind of American dream in a way that, and the characters are, eh, you know how they have like the strip club down as kind of like the lower class, and then the supposed higher class of the showgirls, where they all look down on the strip club. He kind of does that in a way where he's kind of looking down on the classes and the people that are like at the end of the American dream, like looking down on others. I really noticed similarities between those two in the films. Yeah, I really just do love the way that he kind of contrasts the two clubs, or the hotel and the club, in this film. Kind of the two different views of society, even though they're very similar, as he does show in the film. And there's so many small things that Verhoeven like shows that relates to kind of to like he interviewed like 200 Las Vegas strippers so that you could implement their stories into the screenplay. And I really think you get a good feel of kind of what each profession felt like, even though it's very over the top and kind of movieized.
The lady with the dress, and like every time she does that, and the jet bit comes down. So funny, so
Yeah,
funny. Yeah, I'm
okay.
just reading through the IMDb trivia, and it's crazy. Carl McLaughlin said that obviously he denied rumors that he walked out of the premiere, and he said, I sat there and suffered for 2 whole hours." That's crazy. That
I
is
can't believe he didn't
crazy.
like it.
Mm, goat washed.
Yeah, it kind of killed his career for a bit as well. Um, he didn't really do anything until the 2010s. I don't think really anything of note. Well, he said that himself. He felt that it kind of held him back. Yeah, but he's kind of like that. Like he's right after Twin Peaks in this, and it kind of works with the performance because he kind of got that veil of trying to be the nice guy towards Naomi, and he kind of just looks like Dale Cooper still. Because it's like 2 years after, so it really kind of works into his performance, even though he's like just a horrible guy. Like every single man in this is just like the sleaziest, most horrible
Mm,
person you've seen in a film.
I'm glad you brought up All About Eve because that film is like a way more accessible um,
Yeah.
version of this film, but it's more focused on like the real elites of Hollywood. I wouldn't say it's like an everyman um, film like this where it's about the average person's American dream. But even though it's old, that's way more accessible than this. So I can
Hmm.
definitely see the inspiration because it was reminded me of something, and it was that. I definitely got a sense of respect for the profession in this, even though every guy in this, like I said, is horrible and it's just like literally judging their appearance of whether they're good enough or not. But from like a filmmaking point of view, um, none of the actresses had any issues on set being nude. Apparently, they were more concerned about the pet monkeys they had. And yeah, I think it's a really good approach for the 90s. It's definitely comparable to like an aura from like the research that was done.
I think, but
Yeah.
for me, I think this is a good opportunity to bring up Anora. I think, obviously, they're two kind of different movies in a sense. One's more satire, but I think Showgirls does such a great job at making these women feel more tied to their jobs and what they do. You know, Honora is a quite a timid character. She gets overpowered by um, male characters a lot. And this, I feel, this film is completely different. And Honora is more focused on one, and I feel like it slightly avoids misery porn qualities a tiny bit more. Um, for Showgirls by having this kind of, like I said, this internal power struggle between all these characters rather than it just focused on one main character. And I feel like having these characters be so present about their kind of feelings and what's going on around them and vocal about it is leads to so a much more, obviously it's more over the top, but it feels more powerful and more felt between their livelihoods and their jobs, and the kind of play between the two. I don't like, as much as I like Honora, I feel like it kind of struggles slightly in that department, not really tying Annie to what she does.
Yeah, there are similarities there where like they both fall for they're both kind of aware of that it's just kind of a trap, but they do kind of fall for that glam and image of it and kind of fall into that loop of falling for the dream and getting hurt. It also has like it's not just Naomi. You have that like Crystal character as well. Who I think is quite interesting how she plays that like older person that's been kind of like almost pushed out by the entertainment business, and then there's that scene when Naomi pushes her down and breaks her leg, and she's like pretty much just kicked out from being the lead without hesitation. So I
Mm,
think her character is also really great. Gina Gershon is also, I think she's really great in this role. She's kind of the only
mm.
one that didn't have her like career destroyed by this film. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Let me just get it up quickly. I think she's in this film. Yeah, so she obviously the film I rewatched recently and watched for the first time a few weeks ago, Demon Lover from 2002. Also a fairly sexual film, and Gina Gershon is also in that film, which I think is really interesting. Going from kind of those, she wasn't phased at all by this kind of overtly sexual means and bold and daring filmmaking and narratives. And obviously Olivia Sykes is a director that I really admire, directed Demon Lover as well, and that's kind of the film about the 21st century. And I think that film has a lot kind of its whole kind of premise is centered around pornography, and that is an equally as a kind of radical film, and she's in that as well. So good for her in a way, that she wasn't kind of phased. But it is really sad to see that the effect that it had on so many of the cast members. That yeah, Carl McLaughlin is throwing Verhoeven under the bus almost, which is yeah, kind of sad.
She was in Bound too, which is like a straight after this, and it's
Oh yes, she was, wasn't
which
she?
is
That's what
obviously
I recognized her
mhm.
a
for.
lesbian led film. So she really did not care in the
Mm,
90s about drama, which I respect.
that's a great film.
Yeah,
Really
she also
great
done
film.
Face Off and The Insider in the 90s, so her career kind of
Mm,
got better even in the 90s. She
Yeah,
kept getting roles.
mm.
Very different compared to the rest of the cast.
Yeah, she was in the player as well.
I was thinking when I watched this, like I don't really recognize many of these people by like face alone. Obviously, Carl McLaughlin,
Mm,
he's a hater and he survived, even though his career dipped for a little bit. Um, it is sad how like an
mm,
audience reception can like convince studios to completely drop people, especially when they're
Yeah,
giving
mm.
like great performances for like no money.
yeah. Do you have anything else to add about Showgirls?
Obviously, it looks glorious, and I think between this, Casino, and One from the Heart, these kind of the ultimate Vegas films, and
Oh yeah,
um, all very different in their own right. Love the kind of sets in One from the Heart, and obviously this kind of glow that those lights bring, and I think they're all captured in their own ways across all of the films. And yeah, colors just popping in all those films, though. But yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and yeah, such a great setting for a film in a character's kind of a character-driven perspective, and equally great when each is different from the last and not just derivative. But yeah, really, really wonderful and a fantastic film that I think everybody should go and see.
Yeah, I think Letterbox is the only review aggregator I should listen to because looking at all the other responses, it's got a 5.1 on
To be
IMDb.
fair, have you seen the graph on Letterboxd? It's 3.4,
I
and
have.
it's very it's very
It's very
mixed.
It's mixed, but you get a lot more like 2.5s and up, well, threes and up actually than below.
To be fair,
Even
all of the reviews are like 4 stars and up.
yeah, my ratings from friends is funny because it's an average 3.5 and it's like 3 and up, and then there's 4 people who gave it a 1. So that just like summarizes the film because it goes from 3 to a 1 and no in between.
Hmm.
I don't get what the
Yeah,
outrage is. I think you should definitely watch it if you've not seen it. I think most people will just enjoy it.
Hmm.
yeah. I don't think there's a film like it. Like, there's a lot of films that are polarizing, but I don't think there's anything like it that I'd expect to be just like a certified classic. Like Megalopolis, like is a technically great made film, I think, but like I understand where like the polarizing reviews come from. But this is like such built in like such a classic structure and everything like we've been saying. Like I still don't understand it at all. I'd like to think it'd be different now, but who knows?
Yeah.
There's a
Who
Showgirls
knows?
too, by the way.
I've
What?
seen that. Yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
yeah.
god,
got
It's
who
like
directed it?
it's got 2.1 average. Like
I
this
don't know who
random woman
directed it, but
directed
it has
it.
some of the cast returning. It's
Oh, does it actually? Oh my god, it
the
does.
guy that cheats on her
2011.
at the start.
Oh, Penny. Oh yeah. Oh my god. That's actually crazy.
all,
The
all of
average rating is like everything is like a half
yeah.
star. Look at
How
the
that's
average
got a
rating.
2.5 average on I do not know because
That is
most
Every
reviews
single
are
one
one.
of Verhoeven's American films have a sequel. Like every single one.
Really, I know RoboCop has
Yeah,
famous sequels, but like there's a second Starship Troopers.
yeah. There's a second Basic Instinct. There's a second Hollow Man.
Oh,
A second
there's
Showgirls.
so many Starship Troopers. I
as
think
much
there's
as
5.
Yeah, Starship
I did
Troopers.
not even realize that.
Starship Troopers 4, I think.
And
4.
the
God,
start
RoboCop
just the
has a
satire
remake
like
and
drop off
sequels.
a cliff.
the most
Phil
recent,
Tippett. Phil Tippett made a Starship Troopers sequel. Oh my god. That
the
is
newest
crazy.
Starship Troopers sequel looks like it was animated in like Gears of War. It looks so weird.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
He should be like suing these people. I'm not gonna lie, unless he's getting royalties from it, which then fair enough. Let them make slop. The RoboCop sequels like the only ones I probably watch. I am interested.
Have you seen the remake?
No, but I have it on Blu-ray for some reason, so
Oh.
I'll get around
Oh,
to it.
I forgot about that RoboCop remake.
I've
Two's
seen
good
it, but like
apparently.
there's the only scene I remember is when he gets waken up to be like a RoboCop, and it's just like his head
That's the
and
meme.
lungs, and that's the only thing that's left.
Oh, funny story about Total Recall. They're both on Prime, and I accidentally started the 2012 one. And I watched like the first 5 minutes, thinking, "Wait, I didn't know Colin Farrell was in this." And I was like, "Wait, this is just modern looking."
Where's Arnie?
And then I was
Oh
like,
my god.
and then I checked because I had no idea there were two Total Recalls. I was like, from what I saw of that remake, it looked absolutely awful, and had nothing to do with the actual film. It was like grey, like
Oh yeah.
space soldiers shooting at
And
them
it
and
is
nuking.
actually a remake. That's crazy.
So, wait, so Colin
Yeah, it's
Farrell is he in the
terrible.
Arnold Schwarzenegger role?
Colin Farrell is Arnie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ethan Hawke, Bill Nye,
it's got a really good
John
cast.
Cho,
Bryan
Bryan
Cranston.
What?
It's got
Cranston.
like a crazy cast. Who directed it? Okay, his name.
It does look really dull. Len Wiseman. What else has he done? Nothing of note. Oh, he's the guy who directed Ballerina. Oh god. That
Oh
film
no.
looks bad. I can't believe the title for that film is From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. That's actually
Oh
horrendous.
yeah,
That
like
film
the
looks bad.
I don't
Furiosa,
know.
like title.
Com-
Ghost
compared,
directed by Chad Stahelski, I think.
compared to a lot of trailers we've been getting recently,
Yeah,
Ballerina looks like one of the better ones, which is sad. We're nearly
I don't like the
through the
trailer,
slop
but I've
cycle,
heard
I
that
think,
at
though, and I might just.
CinemaCon there was good footage.
I
Yeah.
thought it looked okay, and I don't even like action films.
They're, they're just so many John Wick things.
So
I don't even
I'm
care
worried about it.
anymore.
It looks like a blatant film that like they maybe didn't trust, and they've just brought Stahelski in and brought Keanu Reeves back and kind of shoved him into the film. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
agree.
It may be good. We're gonna go into our best monthly watches from last month, in March, because it's been a while since we've done it. Our top 5 new watches. Who wants to start?
I can go first.
Okay.
Right, my top 5 watches of. Wait, let me just get this up on my thing actually. Okay, so yeah, my number 5 is Johnny Toe's Throwdown, a director who I have come to discover and absolutely love this year. And this is just signature him. So much about friendship and painting Hong Kong as this kind of firstly a beautifully shot place, and I love the kind of environments we explore in all his films. And I was so blown away by there's such a sense of ambition in this film. There's a lot of going on, a lot of kind of random characters meeting each other and friendships and doing little jobs and just trying to get money. And it has such an odd vibe to it, but his blocking is some of the best you'll ever see across his whole films, and this is no different. And yeah, he really hates China, and it is very evident in this film and all his other films. And I will be watching more of his stuff. But yeah, Throwdown is gorgeous and wonderfully constructed, and a really fantastic film. My number 4 is a film called Vet, from director I've already talked about today, Olivier Assayas, in 1996, and the film is an anagram for vampire, and is a film about Maggie Chung, who plays herself. Obviously, Maggie Chung, the incredible actress in 2046, In the Mood for Love, been in some of John Woo's films as well. An incredible actress, and she basically plays herself in this. She's being part of a French remake for a silent film, which is Le Vampires. And I think I said that it really recontextualizes this assimilation between reality and fiction, and is ultra critical on this kind of shifting remaking landscape, and how it can poison kind of what came before. And I was just so blown away by everything that Asias and Maggie Chung are kind of putting on the plate here, and it really does kind of almost feel documentary like at times, but at the same time it is genuinely fiction. And he is so in love with her as an actress, and yeah, the ending is unbelievable. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. Really, really unique film. My number 3 is a film called Landscape Suicide, which is a really, really interesting film from a director called James Benning, whose films I've been meaning to start watching. And this is a film about uh, um, two murderers. One is a high school girl who, all true stories by the way, who thinks stabbed her friend or classmate over a small disagreement. And then one is kind of looking back on this guy who used to taxidermy his victims in the 50s, and this kind of told through really intricate narrative construction, long static takes. We kind of a lot. There's 2 segments which are just like 20-minute long interviews with actors playing these characters. So it's documentary like, but it's not a documentary because there's actors playing these kind of real killers. And I was so fascinated by its kind of tranquility and normality, of the contrast between the surroundings and what's being talked about, because there's this kind of melancholic feeling across all of it, and how normal it all is about talking about such kind of horrific things that have happened, and the kind of landscape that America is dealing with in these kind of circumstances, and I was really taken back by it, and it's only been growing on me ever since. Quite a unique film, and maybe something that a lot of people won't necessarily warm to, but James Benning is a really, really fascinating director whose work I do want to watch more of. And then coming on to my 2 5 stars of March, I had two, which is kind of crazy. I usually maybe only have one or sometimes none first watch anyway. Um, First one is a film called Branded to Kill. Have any of you heard of this film or Tokyo Drifter before?
I've heard of Tokyo Drifter.
Yeah.
So from the same director, I like Tokyo Drifter, but I think this is even better. 1967. This is a really crazy film. I know I've talked about Black Bag before from Soderbergh this year being one of the most tightly edited films I've ever seen, and this just takes it to a whole other level. It's crazy. There's no messing around. There's this kind of hierarchical system of assassins in all of this film, and all of them are just the only instinct is to kill, and I find it's so absurd and so ridiculous the things that happen, and they're so kind of a lot of them are incels, and they're so full into the idea of kind of females being more powerful than them, and it just drives them to the edge of depravity, and it's crazy. It is wonderfully
Wait, so
wonderfully
is this in the
directed.
60s, did you say?
This is the 60s, yeah.
Wow.
Branded
Okay.
to Kill. It's like 90 minutes long. I would highly recommend it. 1967, Branded to Kill, incredible Japanese film. And yeah, is incredible. I was just blown away by it. I'd heard some really great things from people, but this is just like a whole nother level for me, and I had such a wonderful time with it. But yeah, really, really fantastic film. But my best watch of March, and probably maybe the best thing I've watched this year, is a film from Daniel's favorite director, Jean-Luc Godard, In Praise of Love. Probably the best thing I've watched from him so far. I think I'm almost more fascinated by his post 2000s work than his pre 2000s work. Some of his stuff sounds really, really interesting post 2000s. And if this is anything to go by, then fantastic. Because I don't know even how to fully describe this, but this experience was crazy, just right up my street. Very his work post 2000s is so much different than his and from his work from like uh Le Mépris or Breathless, and more leaning into this kind of avant-garde, um far removed from just being meaningless and for the sake of it. And this, I don't know, I was just extremely taken back by what he was trying to put on the plate here. And yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's just an unbelievably perfect film. And yeah, In Praise of Love would highly recommend. I think that was 2001 that came out. But yeah, some really, really interesting ideas on the plate. And yeah, masterpiece, really.
Why was that guy making films in the 21st century? That is
He was,
horrible.
he
He's
was
sticking in
making
cinema for
films.
like
He
40
had things
years.
coming out after he died.
Oh, make it stop.
But
Um,
really though, he's like his post 2000s work is a lot different, but for you than his kind of French new wave stuff. But still, I think he's a really unbelievable director, even though I've only seen a couple of his films.
I was gonna
But
It's
yeah,
not
say,
just French New Wave stuff.
no, I just watched Truffaut. I was gonna stop hating on him, but Oscar made me watch another one, so he brought it on himself. He made me watch whatever that film was called. I don't remember what it's called. I didn't like it.
Like, what did you watch?
Content, Le
Ages
Mépris.
ago, content.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I cannot
it's about
stand
the
him.
director making the Odyssey. It's
It's
so
better
good.
than it was better than Viva Sevilla, but I really don't like.
Perot Le Fou, or however you say it, is really good. I love the colors in that one.
Breathless is a fantastic film. If you haven't seen that, obviously
That is the
we
one
got
I would like.
what's it called? Nouvelle Vague. Richard Linklater just announced today, premiering at Cannes this year. I'm so excited for that, about the production of Breathless. And that film actually is like, it's like the MCU for French New Wave. Have you seen the cast? Um,
Wait,
in
which
like
film?
the most Nouvelle Vague, the Richard Linklater film coming out this year.
Oh, okay.
It's got obviously it. John Luc Godard's obviously in it. Francois Truffaut's in it. Jacques Riviere's in it.
Who's
Eric
playing
Rona's in
Truffaut?
it. Agnes Varda's in it. Who's playing Truffaut?
Yeah,
Adrian Royard is his first film, and it's the guy who's playing Goddard. Is a lot of no name, a lot of kind of no name
random
French
French
talent,
actors.
which is good. I
Yeah, that
like
is
I
Yeah,
good.
that's
like
good.
apart from Zoe Deutsch, who is playing Jean Seberg, the lead, who plays that lead character in Breathless. But yeah, I think that could be quite fantastic, to be honest, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
I'm just glad
Why?
he's
Why am I
making
just
it.
realizing that Fritz Lang is the director in Contempt? That's making
How did
noise.
you not realize
And
that?
Fritz Lang's in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds good. And then Daniel has it at 2 stars.
Don't
it
listen to Daniel.
it
It's a
started
fantastic
it
film.
started promising and genuinely, but it fizzled out for me.
Yeah, Fritz Lang plays himself. It's so
Truffaut
good.
made a way better film about filmmaking. Anyway,
He
um,
does make a great film.
shall I go through my five?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mhm.
I will. Okay, so my fifth is Batman: The Long Halloween. It's technically two films. I'm just gonna put them together. I'm just gonna glaze Batman animated films in general because I've seen so many in the past 2 weeks. They've all like blended together in my head, and the like cast change between films. So you'll have like Bryan Cranston as Jim Gordon, and then you'll have Jensen Ackles as Batman, and then you'll have RoboCop guy as Batman when he's older. And they're from all different years, so the animation constantly changes. It's fun to watch through. I found like a Reddit thread where, because I refuse to read comics because I'm not reading comics. There's nothing against people who read comics, but it's not my thing. But there's a guy on Reddit who has like a list of the main canon comics and all the. I didn't realize how many films are being adapted. Like Hush has a film, which I didn't realize. Under the Red Hood is like the best one from what I've seen. Um, I don't know if either of you've seen. Have you seen that, Ryan?
I've seen it, yeah. I like that. Wait, have you not seen Mask of the Phantasm?
I have, but I
Good
rated it quite
film.
low
Oh,
last year, so I'm gonna rewatch it.
yeah, okay.
The worst one I've seen is Gotham by Gaslight, which I watched a couple of nights ago, but that's not part of the main storyline. I don't know. They're definitely worth watching. They're very entertaining. The Harvey Dent storyline in Long Halloween is probably the best out of any media I've seen. He's like the main character in that. Arguably, he's beefing with the Falcone's family, and it's really Batman does a lot of detective work in it. It's good. Um, but yeah, you don't have to watch them all. You can just watch them individually. My four is Day Night, which is about a woman who you don't have any background to a character, which makes it more interesting. She's taken in by this terrorist organization who you also have no, you're not given any political motivation, and the whole film is just her being indoctrinated and given encouragement to bomb Times Square, suicide bomb Times Square, and it's really nerve wracking because you can never quite read what she's thinking or if she's going to carry it out. I can't say much without spoiling it, but it's probably made on like no budget, and it's like a really thrilling film in that regard. Emotionally, you're second guessing the character's motivations at every point because of how little you give them. It's sort of like a very bare bones, uncomfortable Four Lions because we watched that last month as well. Um, it's like Evil Four Lions. It's really played straight and serious. It's quite scary, um, which is what makes Four Lions comedy even more impressive. That they did that subject matter and made it so funny. Um, my number three is actually it's technically not a film. It's a PSA. It's the amusement park. Romero. I know Ryan doesn't like it, that much. I don't think.
Oh yeah, it was a while ago I watched it. Yeah.
I thought it was really disturbing. The imagery I thought was really good. It was lost forever, I think, for like decades, and then someone found it and restored it. Um, it's a PSA, but there is a narrative to the film. It's about like elderly neglecting elderly people. And this young couple goes to this fortune teller at the amusement park, and they're shown their future as an old couple, and the guy is like dying in bed, and then the lady who's old in the vision is trying to get him help, and it's really creepy and like viscerally disturbing. Growing old is like a fear of a lot of people's, and that won't help because they really use the amusement park as a setting to expose how little the younger generation cares about the elderly, and it's quite good visually. Romero, I'm used to seeing zombie films from him, but that's a cool diversion, and he probably did it for very little money. A PSA. My number two, I felt like I watched this months ago, but I didn't. It's I'm Still Here. Um, I think I didn't see many foreign new releases last year. It's probably the best one I've seen. The the pacing is incredible. People who don't watch films might criticize it, saying not much happens, but the family unit in this, the acting from the entire family unit, you care about them so much, and the day to day first 45 minutes you get where it's just a family interacting with each other, and then when it gets torn apart, makes it really impactful. Um, and I think Fernanda Torres probably gives my favorite performance, even more than Mikey Madison. So I'm glad she beat Amelia Perez because that would have been criminal if not. So yeah, justice for Brazil. I can see why they were all glazing so hard, but I never got a chance to see it before the Oscars. Um, my number one is it's the best film I've seen this year, full stop, as a first watch, and it's the most surprising five I've ever given because I just threw it on because I had one of them nights, so I was really struggling. It's The Heartbreak Kid by Elaine May, who links to the Cassavetti glazing I've been doing because she did my favorite film from the month before, which is Mikey and Nikki. So we're not getting away from the Cassavetti glaze. There's always a link. It's 3 months in a row. He's not involved in this film, but there's a link there. It's 1972, but it's such a modern screenplay in regards to this sleazy guy thirsting over this young girl who's really not interested in him. He's playing with his emotions basically for fun. She's like a rich kid, and he's just got married and he's already unsatisfied with his marriage because on his honeymoon he sees this really attractive young girl, and the dad of the girl absolutely despises him. He gives like my favorite performance in this, and he's not getting the hint that he's despised by this girl's family. It's so much secondhand embarrassment that it's the best written film I've seen this year. It's definitely my favorite. Um, Elaine May, because I watched A New Leaf as well, so I've seen all her main films. She has done a film with Dustin Hoffman that I've not seen yet, called Ishtar.
I wanted to bring up that film because I stumbled across it when researching Showgirls stuff because this is also another film from around that time that like this it had a 55 million budget and people
It,
hated it.
it bombed. It looks really
Yeah,
sus. The poster and
like
the
like it could
description.
be racist. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, I might give it a chance. It's got like
it's
a
got
lower rating than
Isabella Adjani in
Showgirls.
it as well.
Who? Sorry.
Isabella
Uh,
Adjani, she was in Possession.
oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that.
And Warren Beat is in it as well. Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's got a lower rating than Showgirls on Letterboxd, and a lower rating on IMDb. So maybe it actually is offensive. I might watch it, but I kind of don't want to do a goat wash moment
Is
because her three other films were like really good. Um, it's a shame she only did, I think, four narrative films and nothing else. Because she's
yeah,
still alive, I believe. Yeah, she is. She just wasn't active for very long as a director. But yeah, that's
she
my
must be
one.
old.
She's 92.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
and
literally.
Storaro shot that film, which he done like Apocalypse Now and a lot of Bertolucci's films. as well as a lot of Coppola's films. I think that film could be really well made.
But yeah, if you want like a really good 70s screenplay, like I think Mikey and Nikki's got a really good one as well. Just Binge Lane Me, and then she came back after like 15 years to 11 years to direct that weird, maybe
Mhm.
offensive film. So maybe I'll check it out. But yeah, that's my list.
Nice.
Nice. My five watches. I didn't have a I think March wasn't a great month for me, new watch wise. But I've got a solid five. My number five is the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I also watched the original. I think it was in March. I watched the original, which is more of like a noir, very early like science fiction genre film, which in ways falls into the traps of that kind of that time where it's very quite cheesy and genre always from that time always feels a bit outdated. Very well done in that for that film, but it definitely could have been remade, and I think this remake is very justified. It was remade in '78, and I think it's really good. I think it might even be better than the original. It looks incredible. Um, from a time when remakes weren't just remade as a cash grab, they were actually made to try and improve on the original film. It's got Donald Sutherland and Brooke Adams in it, which I think is really helps. I think it's actually an identifiable cast. Jeff Goldblum's in it as well. I think it's really good. And yeah, it kind of adapts it well to the time of the '70s, and it changes the ending and stuff like that. So if you've already seen the original, it's still worth checking out. I think. Um, I know Daniel's seen it and didn't like it, but have you seen the original
What film is this?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Oh, I didn't. I've not seen the original, but I didn't get on with the remake too much.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Which
I
one
was
have I
really
seen?
I think I did it during Hooptober, and I was just fed up at that point of watching horror films every day because I'm not as into horror as you, so it really grinded me down. Maybe if I watched it like on its own, I'd have liked it more. But
I've
yeah,
seen the original. I like the original.
I want to watch the
Yeah.
original Fly, which is like nothing like the '70s Fly or '80s Fly, because the Fly is technically
The the classic photo of Donald Sutherland doing that point in the remake with a really
that's a
funny
really good
voice,
scene. To be
Yeah.
fair,
with a really
A
funny
spoiler as
face.
well, which is it's quite funny. That's like the most iconic image of the
yeah,
movie. But yeah, that's my number five. Number four is a movie from 1948 called Portrait of Jenny, which is I can't really talk about the movie much because it's just kind of spoiling it. But it's kind of like the film I could compare it to the most is it's kind of like Twixt, but in the '40s because it's like this like writer who's kind of got writer's block. He meets this like dead girl that kind of inspires him, and she meets him from different points in her life throughout the film. But yeah, it's a really well shot movie. It has Joseph Cotton, which is if you've seen like The Third Man or Citizen Kane, like he's in that. He's quite a big actor at the time. He's also in Shadow of Doubt. He's like the older brother in that Hitchcock film. He's really great in a couple of films I've seen. But yeah, only like 9K logs on Letterboxd. I've heard it was a really underrated movie from the '40s. Um, but yeah, it won Best Visual Effects as well. That's why it kind of really is the Twixt of the '40s as well, because it's really using like visual effects to really create like these really surreal images. But yeah, that's my number four. Number three, I've got the movie we referenced earlier. I've got Francois Truffaut's Day for Night, which is his version of a movie about
better
filmmaking,
version,
which is always one of my favorite subgenres.
the better version of God Odds.
Is it similar?
Not really. It's way more focused on the actual set,
Uh,
Truffaut's, which is
oh,
more of a
you know,
film.
Godard criticized him for being too mainstream when he made this film.
Godard is,
I remember that now, actually.
What
yeah,
that was a great film about filmmaking.
Yeah. So like yeah, Truffaut kind of like pulls back the curtain and exposes like just the filmmaking process in this film. And yeah, Godard was really not happy and they kind of fell out for a time. Um I can't remember if they make up before Truffaut died. I can't remember.
I hope not, but I don't know.
There was a lot of beef between them. Yeah, it's a real shame we didn't get Truffaut for another 20, 30 years like Godard did.
The Godard Tarantino beef is the funniest because of like the generation divide, but they were still beefing with each other. It's like my goat versus my enemy.
But yeah, Truffaut's films are kind of cool because you kind of get to see the guy from or the wee boy from 400 Blows kind of grow up as well because he's in quite a lot of his films. And he's kind of the lead actor in this one. But yeah, I need to watch more of his films because I really enjoy them. And number two is Joe Dealman, which is the number one movie on Sight and Sound. There's a Chantal Ackerman season going on at the cinema near me, so I've been watching a few of her films in cinemas. This one, obviously, I'd been waiting to see in theaters because I didn't want to attempt to watch this at home because it's really something you have to like focus on and not really have any distractions for it to fully work and really work for you. I really wouldn't recommend watching it at home just because I don't think there's any way to really fully just remove yourself from everything around you. Yeah, it's quite hard to really express the kind of experiences watching this. Really emotionally powerful at times, even though it kind of tries to bore you to death with the filmmaking. Um, it's really weird. It sounds like you're like lying about the how good it is when you like, explain what this movie's like, but it is really good. Really great use of structure and like just repetitiveness of shots and yeah, it's just used in a really interesting way to make it really effective. Yeah, I think this is my favorite Chantal Ackerman so far. I've only seen three. It was like The News from Home and something else.
News from Home and yeah, Gene Gilman. Obviously, I saw that in cinemas as well. That was really, really great. Just missed out on my top five. But yeah, I adore both of those films. I really need to watch more because I really do love them.
Yeah, I'll be watching a couple more this month. That's my number two. Number one is Robert Altman's The Player, which
Yes.
if you've heard anything about the studio, the Apple TV show, you'll have known that this is a huge inspiration from it. Like very huge. Like it's very much
So good.
everything is from that, like from the oneers that they do to just the meta commentary about
The
the
opening
current
tracking
Hollywood
shot is
system.
beautiful.
It is amazing, yeah. There's a lot of great shots in this. And the cast is ridiculous. Um, if you've seen like if you know like any cast member or any like big stars from like the I'd say like 70s, 80s,
It's
60s
like
maybe. Like
Endgame for like film nerds.
yeah.
It's so good. The
Yeah.
opening, like I was like pointing at the screen all the time. It's so entertaining for like if you know your stuff about films. Because if I'd have watched that
Yeah.
like 4 years ago, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. But now I've seen. I think if you have
Mm,
a big catalog of films behind you from like that era, the better it gets.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like it'd be possible to watch this and not catch all the cameos because I'm sure there's probably ones I missed because
Oh, I
it's really
definitely
is
missed
like
some. Yeah.
yeah, it's
mm,
like deep. There's a deep cut like actors showing up here. If you've not seen a lot of the films from the time, Kevin Feige would be proud of the amount of cameos in here because it's
mm.
ridiculous.
It's
uh,
Altman is so good. This film is
yeah,
so entertaining. It's so funny. Tim Robbins' best film, by the way. Just wanted to put that out there. Just wanted to put that
maybe,
out
but
there.
the Shawshank Redemption is becoming a bit disrespected in
Yeah,
general.
it's getting a little.
It's a bit over. Like it's good, but it's not that good. Like it's great, but it's not.
It's a nice 4.5.
It's a nice
It's
film.
like one of those films for me that like when you watch really young and it's just like, well, that's the movies.
Yeah,
Like
I didn't watch it till I was like
I
probably
was like
17,
19.
18.
I was like,
when I watched it when I was like 10, and it was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen at the time.
Yeah, Tim Robbins is yeah, he's fantastic in that film. That film is so funny. It's really, really good. The scene
Yeah.
with Jeff Goldblum is brilliant. And Richard Grant as well. Richard Grant, that's the scene I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, he's really good in
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
such a
so
good
funny
film.
comparing it to the studio and like the jokes they make because it like in comparison, like it's like they did not know how good they had it in the 90s compared to
Mm,
now. Whereas like it's like really corporate like really stupid, like basically the Minecraft movie in the studio, and
Yeah.
then in the player, it's something like The Graduate Part Two, which would be like an Oscar player now if it was to come out, like that type of
What
film.
what a decade the 90s was, though, coming off of Showgirls as well.
Oh yeah,
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
yeah. Yeah, I'm starting to see the '90s as like up there as one of my favorite decades. It's
Mm,
ridiculous amount of good films.
If you like the player,
nice.
watch Nashville because it's another like
Yeah.
grand sprawling cast.
Altman.
It's not as referential, but it's like how he deals with casts that big is insane.
Altman
True.
is
He's
a
one of the best
fantastic.
American directors, I think, because I've seen
I
4
think
films, and they're all
you should
like,
watch Shortcuts. You should really watch Shortcuts. That's a incredible film. It's like same vein as like Magnolia and things like that. And it's also 3 hours. But yeah, and great cast as well. Um, but yeah, that's also a fantastic film. And
I really want to
I
watch
don't know.
what's the one with Sissy Spacek and
Oh,
oh,
Three
oh,
Women.
Three Women, Three
Three
Women.
Women.
I've
yeah,
seen
I'm
that. It's
actually
I
really good.
really need to watch that. I really need to watch that.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's very good. It's got good. It's got weird vibes, but in a good way. Those two together are insane as like leads.
And obviously, The Long Goodbye, another incredible film.
That's really like he has so much. He's aura farming in that LA Gold. It's probably my least favorite out of the ones I've seen. It's still like an incredible film.
Yeah. I think my
yeah.
favorite, yeah, definitely Nashville for me.
Mine's
I
definitely
think
the player.
it's the player for me right now,
Yeah, mine's the player.
but I need to check it more. Yeah, great
I've
film.
heard.
I highly recommend it. But yeah, that's our top watches of the month. Let us know what your favorite month or first watch of March was, and again what you thought of Showgirls. And we'll be back next week for something else. See you.